This is the Authentic Dating series brought to you by Ahmad and David,
where we explore what it takes to have a dating life you're excited about.
Hey guys, I'm David.
I'm Ahmad.
And this is the Authentic Dating series.
So in today's episode, we want to cover some of our insights that we gathered after giving, after giving one of our most groundbreaking courses to date, which is the power of authentic communication. And if you add that to the ultimate power of authentic communication, the acronym is 2PAC. So I think it's something we're thinking of in the future, the 2PAC course. But it was really insightful. It was an amazing course, really beautiful. Don't you think, Dave? Like, it was such a really beautiful course. Like the interaction and the men and the sharing, the vulnerability. It was just really beautiful to see.
Yeah. It was. I think what was really, really great to see was the kind of evolution through the day, actually, of people, and how at the beginning of the day we did like an exercise to start with, which was just kind of getting people into the groove, and how each of the exercises people really learned, took insights. Like, there were times we did exercises and there was 8 of us there, and the men would be sitting there really pensive and thinking about how they're communicating, how they're showing up in life, and how their own inauthenticity is causing them to not have the dating life they really want. And this is, men who are doing their best to be more aware and more conscious. It's almost the sort of men that, the mainstream media would have you believe don't exist, and the mainstream dating media would have you don't believe they don't exist. And we sat in a room with a whole bunch of them yesterday, and they really do, and they're really trying to learn about themselves and better themselves to have better relationships, to be, deeply emotionally connected to themselves and their partners. If there's any ladies here listening and they'd like to meet such men, we charge £500 per man, but we can make that work for you. Yeah. Finance deals are also available.
I think that's pretty cheap for this sort of call him the golden guy. So and it was really really beautiful day, and I think for me, I felt a great sense of joy having studied this concept of dating and formalized this model of dating alongside yourself. And we've been teaching this on the podcast for a long time, so it's nice to actually now distill this into a course that we can put out to guys that really want to learn and understand this and put it into practice in their life. And so blown away actually by the results of yesterday's course, and like you said, from the exercises and what insights were coming out. And so this is what we want to share with you, listeners, dear listeners, today is what we want to share with you today is the insights, some of the core insights and takeaways that we got from delivering this or 2PAC, the power of communication.
Before we get into that, we're going to give you we've got a few events coming up in the next kind of 2 weeks. We've got a live on Wednesday night, so if you're listening to this on Wednesday day when it comes out, it's tonight, 9 p.m. UK time. We're doing a live with MSL, the founder of Killing Kittens, and we're going to be talking about men's dating, the work we do with men in terms of, just like we're going to talk about today, helping men be more connected to their emotions, create more deep and meaningful connections. And we're also going to talk about how men can invite a woman to a sex party, as it's something that we've both had experience with. So that should be a really interesting and fun live with a brand that I've definitely had my eye on watching for quite a while. And the next event is I'm going to be doing a workshop all about foreplay. In conjunction with Taylor Match, and that's going to be on the 10th of September. You'll be able to find the link to that in our our show notes. And it's something that obviously women are often, I won't say complaint, it was a common gripe that men are not engaged deeply in foreplay. They're just like trying to stick it in as fast as they can. And I'm going to just take men through I won't call it a formula, but what I've learned about foreplay and how to just like deeply connect with a woman before you're having sex and have it last longer, and it will be wonderful and joyful for yourself and them. And the final workshop I've gotten up is with Killing Kittens. I'm doing the sexual performance workshop I did before, which was amazing actually. I really enjoyed teaching that, so it's going to be fun doing that on the KK platform, and that is happening on the 16th of September, and anyone can join up for that, and I'll add the link to that in the show notes as well. A lot going on in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, wow, that is a lot. That's amazing though, and some really cool information for guys, and I think much needed in today's society, especially women begging for men to understand this stuff more. So
Yeah.
yeah, fantastic. Yeah, so yeah, let's get into it. I think we're both recovering from the energy that we poured into delivering that. That was 6 hours of delivery and holding the space for 6 men to really have a transformation around their authentic expression and such. It was, yeah, really left me blown away,
Mm.
not just with the content and what we were teaching, but also for the men and how they were receiving it, and what they learned, and how they recognized in their own life what was getting in the way of creating authentic connections with the women that they're meeting. So let's get into it, eh? So the first thing that jumped out to me was around, and this is actually one of the premises, one of the core ideas that we teach in the course, is that authentic expression is more than what you're saying. It's more than just the words that come out your mouth and sharing about your thoughts. It is actually the unfiltered expression of your emotion. So that emotion that you're feeling in the moment, and one of the things we taught is that we're all constantly feeling. It's not, emotions are not one of those things that you can switch off. It's not like your emotions can go to sleep. From the minute you wake up, you are feeling something, and I think this is a
Mm.
very, very big lesson for a lot of men, because so many men come to us and they say, "Oh, yeah, I'm not really into feeling. I don't. It's not that doesn't factor into my life." But it's not even a joke. This is just completely wrong, because humans in general, we all experience a range of emotions, and authentic expression is being able to, in an interaction, whether it's romantic or friendly or otherwise, it's being able to express how you really feel in the moment, and to share with people what is up, what's going for you, positive or negative.
Yeah, and I think I'd say to the guys out there who are like, oh, I don't feel anything, I don't have any emotions, I'm not like, I'm not like that. Is I ask you to make a simple choice, decide what you're going to eat tonight, or lunch or breakfast, and you'll go, oh yeah, yeah, but that's I'm deciding that based on nutrition or whatever. But
Logic.
there's an emotion in there, there's a feeling in there, right? There's a feeling for you that's like, I actually enjoy that more than that. That tastes better to me. That makes me feel better when I eat that instead of that. It might be that you're training for, for the gym, and you're like, I'm going to have my high protein, some good carbs, I'm going to have some greens. But it's like, oh, the reason you do that is because the feeling you get from eating that satisfactory food that fuels your body to get you to the goal or keep your body in a certain way. There's a feeling behind that. And I think a lot of the time we just don't acknowledge that there's a feeling there. We just think there's a logical decision, and we forget behind the decision there's some logic. And then I guess to some of the listeners there, if you're still thinking, oh, but no, that's just logic. Well, how about that girl you saw yesterday or the day before, whether that be online or in person? You thought, oh wow, she's really cute, isn't she? I'd like to talk to her. You felt drawn to talk to her. Now, behind that is an emotion, right? There's a desire there. Maybe there's a feeling of playfulness, romance, enchantment, as I really talked about
Mm.
yesterday. Feeling drawn to someone. Again, behind that is the feeling and emotion. It's just we live in this world where we've kind of not agreed, but especially from, I'm going to call it the patriarchy's agreed that emotions and feelings are not important,
Mm.
and you don't need those, and those just get in the way. And actually, they don't. If you can learn to be with them, they really don't get in the way at all.
Mm. Well, yeah, I mean, I would actually go as far as saying that emotions are what make us human, right? Like
Yes.
that's what we, again, we were pointing out, and what I love about this stuff really is, we're not talking about anything that's that's out of this world, right? We're talking about things that are very grounded in reality. Everyone can resonate with this. That as human beings, we all share emotions, we all have vulnerabilities, we all have things that we're embarrassed about, and this is stuff that we explored on the course yesterday, and it was really great because a big part of the course as well, and we didn't mention this, is that it was experiential. And
Mm.
what that means is, like, me and David weren't there talking. We do a lot of that on the podcast already. So if you want to hear us talk, get on the podcast. In the course, we created a bunch of amazing exercises which really allowed men to feel the difference. And so the next point that really jumped out to me is how our fears, like the men's fears, our fears, David's fears, my fears, how our fears really distract us from feeling our true desires. Like, we have a desire, we want to speak to someone, we want to do something with our lives, and then a fear
Mm.
comes in, and it's like, no, you shouldn't do that, right? And we define that voice lovingly as shook man, because it's always a fearful
Mm.
voice, the voice of shook man
Mm.
who's scared, and he's always
Shook.
going to yeah, he's always going to point out what you're afraid of. So yeah, and the classic scene is, maybe you're at a bus stop, or you're in a train station, or wherever you're on your way somewhere, and you see a woman, you're inspired, you're enchanted, you want to talk to her, and oh, there's something about her, there's an air about her, or the way she looks, or the way she smiles, and you think, oh, it'd be so great if I could just go over and tell her how I feel, like what I'm inspired by, what it is, why she's captured my attention. And then Shookman jumps in and says, no, don't do it. And why? Because he's like, well, it's not the right thing to do, it's not the done thing. This is London, and that's not how we are, and people don't want to be spoken to. And so bang, and then all of a sudden, this pure desire, this innocence in how we are, almost childlike innocence, curiosity, gets blocked off and cut off by our fears.
Mm-mm. And I love that, because you're just not even aware. There's no, it's almost so now automatic in you that you think of something you'd love, right? You think of something, and I'm going to give an example here that maybe a few of you guys have probably felt a bit more. Is like, maybe you've gone onto online dating platform and you've gone, okay, I've got to start my profile. You've got to create a profile. And then you go, a lot of people get to this thing of doing the profile, and they're just like, oh my God, no, it's going to be horrible. Creating a profile is going to be useless. I'm not going to meet anybody. Online dating is terrible. And then they just never do it. And you see what's happened there? You thought that you would love to date someone, and your fear about, and these fears won't be about really actually it all going horribly. There's a underlying fear there that you won't meet someone because there's something intrinsically wrong with you. You're not enough. You're not good enough. So this other layer of thoughts come in and go, no, 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 don't do this. And then suddenly you don't take a course of action. You don't follow that action. Or, something we see a lot with men's dating profiles, that with men we coach and men we come to speak to us, is you see they go to their profile and they create their profile as fast as they can, picking just some random photos of themselves, not really writing very much, right? And then there's the little voice in there going, oh, I don't want to make too much effort in this because, oh, I don't need to. If I write some stuff I'm not going to write too much about myself because, and the thoughts that you're having is like, I don't want people to think I'm arrogant and blah, blah, blah. But actually, you're afraid that people won't be interested in you, or you're afraid of the rejection, or you're afraid to really show who you are in case someone rejects you or they don't choose you. And
Mm.
suddenly, you've derailed the thing you would love, which was to meet some women and have some dates and meet someone who really understands you. And your fears have taken you straight away. And we're so ingrained in, oh, there's something I love. No, fear's going away and completely derail you, that we don't even realize that there's a desire for something that's actually there.
Mm. Yeah. And then again, going back to the course, like what you were talking about there is that core fear of needing to control,
Yeah.
like needing to control the outcome, needing to know how it's going to go. That's such a big one, and there's four main fears. We don't have time to go into all of it right now, but that was such a big one, like that needing to
Mm.
control, and needing to control people, and needing to control the outcome and stuff, and that actually stopping us from taking action. I wrote something down here, and it's like, what is leading your life? Is it, and for most people, it's their fears. Either your
Mm.
fears are driving your life and your actions, or your desires are. And what we saw and what we teach is that for most people, their fears are leading the show, and that then gives you the actions that you take. And like David has illustrated there, it goes from like wanting to create an online dating thing because you want to date to, oh, actually, fuck it, I'm not going to do it. So it's like,
Yeah.
and that's just completely fear based. And the sad thing is, and for people that live that way and presume that that's the only way, then sadly, it means they become cynical around dating, and they could
Mm,
remove themselves from the dating game entirely, thinking that somehow dating isn't for them, they can't do it. But in actual fact, it's just a step, it's an action to take that would move you forward. Just get it
mm,
done, follow the desire. There are two
mm,
worlds we exist in. One is fear and one is desire. Live in desire, not fear. And
exactly.
yeah, you'll see a big shift. So I think as well, like another beautiful thing. So the next point, I think another beautiful thing that came out of yesterday, and it's something you were reminding me of earlier, Dave, is how I think I said it, but I think you're reminding me that I said it. Is that people resonate with the humanness,
Yeah.
because we spoke about truths and how even if someone disagrees with your truth, like you may have a choice in life. Maybe you want to be an artist, maybe you want to be a comedian, or maybe you want to work with whales, whatever. And not everyone's going to agree with you, but people tend to respect the truth of the
Yeah.
fact, right? And they go, oh well, I don't like that, don't like the truth, but I respect it,
Mm,
and that you're willing to actually undertake it, and not just that, but also the truth of your weaknesses, the truth of your humanness. And that's what it is.
yeah.
It brings us back to that we all have a range of not just a range of emotions, and a range of experiences, and we all have things that we're proud of, and we all have things that we're embarrassed of, and that's what makes us human. It gives
Yeah.
us that whole picture, not just this one veneer that you see in the glossy magazines, and someone's perfect, the Calvin Klein model or the actor who's got everything together. He makes all the right investments, and he's got a six pack, and he dresses like he never fucks up. And that's not real. That's not a human being. That's just an image. That's James Bond. That's just a fictional character. What
Mm,
actually bonds and connects people is the humanness, is the realness. And this is another thing that we touched on, isn't it? It's such a beautiful thing when guys got this, that actually, yeah, they felt closer for having shared their realness.
yeah. Yeah. And you imagine this, I set the scene for yesterday. You've got, there's us two and there's six other men. And, they're men. We're not used to men sitting down and saying how, they're talking about embarrassing secrets and opening up and sharing with each other about how they're feeling and where they're being inauthentic in their life. And actually, it bonded these men together over the course of an afternoon because they shared with one another. They didn't. There was no pretense or need to appear to be perfect.
Mm,
Because as the day went on, we were all able to see that we are all imperfectly perfect,
mm,
and
mm.
be okay with that, and be okay with our own imperfection. And then in doing that, it creates a bond between people. And it doesn't the thing is, when you hear that, you're going to think, no, that's bullshit. That's not how it is. There was one time I told someone how I used to, I don't know, I peed myself when I was 18, and they all laughed at me, and you told so and so, and they all laughed at me. And it's like, yeah, maybe they did laugh at you, but I guarantee you that they felt there were people in there. If they didn't say it to you, they were like, man, I do that too. That's just like, people follow, their peers, and there's peer pressure and blah blah blah, but people in themselves, they still acknowledge, like, oh, actually, like, that's me too.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I feel that way, that happens to me as well. And this fear that we're all going to be ridiculed and kind of ostracized, as we often were kind of as children, or it felt like we were as children, just doesn't happen as adults in the way that we expect it to, especially in relationships.
Yeah, it's a huge one. What jumped out to me is how I used to be very embarrassed about the fact that I cried. And
Yeah.
one day, a friend of mine was sharing openly about this, and he was a guy that I look up to very much. And he was sharing, and my instinct reaction was to take the piss out of him about it. And then afterwards, I reflected and was like, "Oh, hey, so sorry, man. I realized I did that because I'm embarrassed that I
Mm,
cry." And then he didn't, ridicule me or belittle me for it. He just said, "Oh, maybe you should just accept that. Like it's a thing that we all do." And this was some time ago now, but this is what jumped out to me there, right? And what it is, and the reason why I'm sharing this is because sometimes, and not even sometimes, oftentimes, and this did happen to me again recently. I was sharing something vulnerable, and someone made a joke about it, and oftentimes, and this is how I relate to them, is they're just not at that level yet. They just haven't realized
Mm,
that we're just human. Like, what's the issue? Like, I'm under no illusions that that other person who was taking a piss out of me for sharing something vulnerable is somehow perfect or has no problems. If anything,
yeah.
it just shows me that they're not ready to talk about it, and that's cool. That's fine.
Mm,
I don't need to force everyone to speak openly if they don't want to, but that's just the thing you got to understand is when someone belittles you, it's often because they're not ready to open up to that in themselves. They just don't want to
yeah.
be that vulnerable themselves.
Yeah, it's like, for them, it's almost a sign for them. They don't feel comfortable with what you
Absolutely.
said because they couldn't express that. And their only way to deal with their uncomfortability is to remove the uncomfortability by making fun of it and getting, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, I can't sit with the uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
You tell me that you cry. And
Mm-hmm.
I've sat with Ahmad and I've seen him cry and I've sat with the uncomfortability and I've been like, oh, wow, why does this make me feel uncomfortable? Oh, because I couldn't do what he's doing. And then I'm like, I have immense respect for you because I'm like, oh, I can't do what you're doing here, but I don't need to belittle you. I can raise you, in my words and what I'm saying. And I say to any man, if you're around men who, when you do act in a sensitive nature and express your emotions and feelings, and they belittle you, right? Maybe if that's not what you want, those are the not sort of men you should be spending your time with. And I understand you may be with work colleagues and there may not be a choice so much there. But if these are your friends and your family, then you've got a few options. You can change your friends and family, and you can find men who want to express themselves and want to connect in this way, right? Or you can call them forward to say, hey, dude, man, like, I wasn't really feeling it when you did that. Like,
Mm.
that wasn't cool for me. I was trying to express myself and you tried to like belittle me. Like, what's up with that? I was like,
Yeah. I mean, just to add something to that, because I know how difficult it can be in those situations. And so, what I would
yeah,
add as well is find, as much as like not hanging around with those guys, I mean, one of the first steps is actually find men that you can speak that way with. And definitely one of the things we can highly recommend is joining a men's group where often this is the type of conversation that is encouraged.
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah,
there's plenty out there, and we can recommend a good. If you're in the UK, we can recommend a good one that we know of,
yeah, yeah.
where this is a conversation everyone's talking freely,
Mm,
and that will be the first step because then at least you're supported, right? And then when you go back into your community where people don't necessarily support you, you know that you have your space that you can
yeah,
speak that way. And actually, the guy that we know, a good friend of ours, his name's Kapil Gupta, what he speaks about, especially with men's groups, is the more that they come along to the men's group and they share that way freely, the more that they go out into society and speak
mm,
that way because they've realized that it's okay to do that and other men are
yeah,
doing it too. It's like you create your own bubble and then that bubble expands.
yeah, yeah. I'll give you a really good example actually. Is I was at work and obviously through a Zoom meeting, and I was talking to someone. This was on like Slack, and this guy we were talking about the football actually, talking about how Barcelona lost to Bayern Munich. I'm sure Ahmad knows a lot about
Mm-hmm.
that. And he used some words that I wasn't feeling that much. He kind of was like, oh, I saw Messi. Who's he talking about after the game? No, he was talking about the Champions League final, and he referred to someone as a crybaby.
Mm.
And I was really like, I see here. And I was really like, in my awareness, it was a very interesting moment. I was like, he's referred to him as a crybaby because this guy was crying because he lost. And I was like, this is really an opportunity for me to say something here without like making him feel bad and castrating him. That's not
Mm.
as severe as what I was doing, but I was like, this is a moment for me to say, no, actually, this is a different way for you to look at this. And I was like, I basically just said, hey, I can totally understand why he was crying. He just lost a game that's of immense importance to him. And I have a lot of respect for the man for openly showing how he was really feeling.
Mm.
And that's what I said. Because I was like, no, that's my perspective. And I was like, in that moment, I could give that man a gift that I was talking to of a
Mm.
different perspective upon a grown man crying.
Yeah.
because I think this is, as we said before, it's something that we still in this world. A lot of men, and this isn't the first time I've heard this in the last year. Oh, a man is crying, he's a crybaby, and it's like, well, no, he's just actually fucking cares about something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. 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 So there you go. And I think that's a powerful thing, because it then helps others to understand. It
Mm-mm.
actually, because in most cases, a lot of our ideas come from our childhood, and they're just left unchecked. And then when we hear new ways of thinking, we can go, actually, yeah, this resonates, right? So the last point I want to make, and I think this really sums up everything that we've been talking about, and why authenticity is so important, and why we talk about it all the time, and why we create courses about it, and why we teach it, is because it creates instant connection. We've mentioned how it bonds people instantly, and really brings a closeness and an intimacy that you just don't get without it. And see,
Mm.
the thing is, the converse, the opposite, is also true. So the opposite is inauthenticity, aka manipulation, creates separation. Like
Yes.
when we, I think the easiest thing is like with a car salesman. Sorry, car salesman, it is, but with a salesman, let's say, who, they use techniques and sales techniques to cajole someone or manipulate someone into making a sale, or some authority figure or family member who uses guilt tripping to get you to do something. That doesn't bring you close. That
Mm.
makes you feel further away from the person and out of touch with joy. And we see this happening all the time in dating. It doesn't matter if you're buying gifts because you want to please someone, right? Or you're outright lying because you want to have a multiple partner relationship, and so you're lying to different people. You're creating separation. You're not creating
Mm.
connection at all, and you're creating separation yourself and with the other person. And that's the thing. Authenticity, you're automatically creating connection with everyone that you're being authentic with, and that's the beauty of it.
Yeah, yeah. And you see, the thing is sometimes what we do with the manipulation is, and we did a great exercise this yesterday. I know we keep going about this course yesterday, but we're really distilling the energy of the wonderfulness of it
Mm,
all. And we did a great exercise around manipulation. And what was amazing was how the different forms of manipulation
mm,
showed in the participants. There was a particular scenario where two guys, and I think we freely share this, that one particular person didn't do the exercise as the way that it was designed,
mm,
and you know you have to ask yourself in your life, where do you act like that? Where do you go, oh, there's, I don't know, you're on a Zoom date and you're going to half-heartedly turn up. You're not
mm,
going to get dressed properly. You're not going to make an effort. Where do you do that, and how does that happen? And there's something that people don't always realize is like, oh, I'm not going to try, and they go, oh, I'm cool, or it doesn't matter. But it's like, does it really not matter to you, or are you trying to manipulate the other person, you're forcing an experience upon them that
mhm,
they may or most likely don't want, right? It's something we don't always think about when we take ourselves out, as we
mm,
described it.
mm,
And it's like you're manipulating situations so that the outcome you want happens, and that can be with the negative as well.
mm,
It's like where I see it with people where they have a defense mechanism around dating. They don't want to be hurt. So what they do is they fuck up any relationship or dating situation before it can get to that point.
yeah,
And that is a manipulation,
yeah,
because what you're doing is you're going, I'm afraid that this isn't going to work. So I am not even going to be allow the unknown to happen. And I'm going to force upon this other person my particular outcome, and this might, if you can say the same thing for men, where I'm going to just, force themselves upon women. It's a manipulation. You're
mm,
not giving the other person the choice, or even yourself the choice of an outcome that could be joyful for both of you.
yeah, and yeah, and it's obviously fear based, right? Like it's just like
Mm,
that again, coming from fear as opposed to desire. It's like I'm not willing to experience the fear of rejection. So
yeah.
or the fear of loss, or the fear of confusion, or being ridiculed. So I'm just going to cut it off. It's just
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. It's a really powerful point. So yeah, there you go, guys. I think that really sums up nicely some of the core lessons that we picked up from leading this course yesterday, and some of the key tenets that we taught. Really, really
Mm.
powerful course. So good that we're definitely going to do it again. We haven't scheduled it exactly just yet, but bear with us, and we are coming up with some interesting ways in which we can deliver this material to more and more men.
Yeah. Something we really want to do is find ways in this, especially these difficult times where we're in a very uncertain world, and it's very easy to just go, "Oh, we're going to wait until everything settles down before I want to take action." And I don't think that's really an option now. I think when it comes to your dating life, I think we've all realized that, fuck, this is how the world's going to be like this for a little while. I need to start doing something about it. How am I going to date in this kind of socially distanced world? And there's definitely a lot of ways. And, we're putting together a community of men who are wanting to show up in the world in a way that's beautiful. And I think it's exciting to see when you meet men who want to explore themselves, who want to communicate with women on a deeper level, because it just really breaks down that assumed nature from a lot of women that men don't want to connect in that way. And it's like we're willing to take this on and be the men that we really can be.
Awesome. Yeah, nothing more needs said. So, guys, there you have it. If you're interested in hearing more of our stuff, head over to our Instagram. It's at Authentic Dating Series. That's where we share the most up-to-date information. We also have a website, which is www.authenticdatingseries.com. You can contact us at hello@authenticdatingseries.com and send us your dating questions. We've heard it all, but if there's anything that you're stuck with, do reach out, get in touch. We're 100% guaranteed to be able to give you some advice on this. We cover a whole range of dating dilemmas and problems, and we're really focusing on helping people create happy relationships.
Yeah. And just to let you know again about the events, we're live on Wednesday night, Wednesday the 2nd at 9 p.m. with Killing Kittens. There's a foreplay workshop I'm running with Taylor Match on the 10th of September, and an Increase Your Sexual Performance workshop again with Killing Kittens on the 16th of September. So yeah, plenty coming up from us. And if you're interested in our the ultimate power of authentic communication course, like drop us a message and just say, hey, ask us when we're running it again. Because if we get 6 or 7 people ask about it again, we'll put it on sooner than later. Don't just wait for us to magically put it on again, because it takes a lot of organizing and effort. So yeah, get in touch, ask the questions, because actually that's where the real change comes. And obviously, if you're really feeling like you want to kind of turbo boost and really get yourself ready for the winter, ready for dating next year as well, then contact us about our coaching program. It's a 3-month coaching program which really takes you to a new level of authenticity and connects you with what's really going on for you, and allows you to communicate from that emotion, that feeling, that desire, that love, that care for the women that you meet, and get you out of your fear-based communication and your fear-based actions.
Yeah, also out of the superficial dating, and into meaningful connections. It would change your life. So if you're interested in changing your life, get in touch, and we will help you. All right, guys.
It's been a great episode. Ciao.
Ciao.